Hello everyone, welcome back to my English class. I'm Jyoti Singh and today I'm going to explain the chapter The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse from the book Snapshot of Standard 11th Part 2. In Part 1 we already read about Murad and his cousin Aram. Both the uh, both the cousin ride a horse which was stolen by Murad. Now let's continue the story. Part 2. That afternoon, my uncle Khosrow came to our house for coffee and cigarettes. He sat in the parlor, sipping and smoking and remembering the old country. Then another visitor arrived, a farmer named John Byro, an Assyrian who, out of loneliness, had learned to speak Armenian. My mother brought the lonely visitor coffee and tobacco, and he rolled a cigarette and sipped and smoked, and then at last, sighing sadly, he said, "My white horse, which was stolen last month, is still gone. I cannot understand it." Now, in these lines, the writer says that on that afternoon, his uncle Khosrow came to their house for coffee and cigarette. When he sat in the parlor and sipping and smoking coffee and cigarette, he remembered the old country days. And then another visitor arrived, whose name John Byro. John Byro was an Assyrian who is learning who had learned to speak Armenian. When the another visitor arrived, his mother brought the lonely visitor coffee and tobacco. And after that, John Byro rolled a cigarette and sipped and smoked. And taking sigh sadly, he said to his uncle that his white horse, which was stolen last month, was still gone, and he cannot understand it. The white horse, which was stolen by Murad, it was stolen 1 month ago. My uncle Khosrow became very irritated and shouted, "It's no harm. What is the loss of a horse? Haven't we all lost the homeland? What is this crying over a horse?" After hearing his story, his uncle Khosrow became very irritated and shouted, and then he said, "It was no harm. What was the loss of a horse? Hadn't they all lost the homeland? And what was that crying over a horse?" He asked John Barrow what was the loss if he lost the white horse. And then, "That may be all right for you, a city dweller, to say," John Byro said. "But what of my Surrey? What good is a Surrey without a horse?" Surrey means a person or animal that lives in the place. Means, dweller means a person or animal that lives in the place mentioned, and Surrey means a light four-wheeled carriage with two seats facing towards forwards. In these lines, John Byro, who lived in a city, asked about his Surrey. That what about his four-wheeled carriage? And what is good a Surrey without a horse? "Pay no attention to it," my uncle Khosrow rode. And after hearing this, his uncle Khosrow rode to John Byro. "Pay no attention to it. I walked 10 miles to get here," John Byro said. And John Byro replied that he had walked 10 miles to get here. There. "You have legs," my uncle Khosrow shouted. And then his uncle shouted and said that he had legs. "My left leg pains me," the farmer said. The farmer replied that his left leg pained him. Pay no attention to it, my uncle roared. Again his uncle roared not to pay attention to it. That horse cost to be $60, the farmer said. And then the farmer told him that that horse cost him $60. I spit on money, my uncle Khosrow said. Angrily, his uncle replied that he spit on money. He got up and stalked out of the house, slamming the screen door. And after then that, the farmer John Byro got up and get out to the house, slamming the screen door. My mother explained. And after then that his mother explained, he has a gentle heart, she said. It is simply that he is homesick and such a large man. And then that his mother explained that he had a gentle heart and it was simply that he was homesick and such a large man. The farmer went away and I ran over to my cousin Murad's house. When the farmer went away, Aram, the narrator, ran over to his cousin Murad's house. He was sitting under a peach tree. Murad, who was sitting under a peach tree, trying to repair the hurt wing of a young robin which could not fly, who was carrying a young robin whose wings were hurt. He whose wing was hurt. He was talking to the bird, and Murad was talking to the bird. What is it? He said. Aram asked, what was it? The farmer John Byro, I said. He visited our house. He wants his horse. You have had it a month. I want you to promise not to take it back until I learn to ride. Aram told Murad that the farmer John Byro visited his their house and Aram did not want to back it because he want to learn right. So he want a promise to Murad that he did not beg that he did not return the white horse to John Byro. It will take you a year to learn to ride, my cousin Murad said. And then his cousin Murad said that it will it would take him a year to learn to ride. We could keep the horse a year, I said. And then he said they could keep the horse a year. My cousin Murad leaped to his hat, and after then Murad leaped to his feet. What? He roared and he shouted, what? Are you inviting a member of the Garogalanian family to steal? The horse must go back to its true owner. And then he shouted that he don't want to be his family called stealers or thieves, and the horse must go back to its true owner. When, I said. Then Aram asked when. In 6 months at the latest, he said that. And Murad replied that at the least only 6 months. He threw the bird into the air. The bird tried hard, almost fell twice, but at last flew away, high and straight. And then Murad threw the bird into the air. The bird tried hard, almost fell twice, but at last he flew away. The bird flew away high and straight in the sky. Early every morning for 2 weeks, my cousin Murad and I took the horse out of the barn of the deserted vineyard where we were hiding it and rode it. And every morning the horse, when it was my turn to ride alone, leaped over grapevines and small trees and threw me and ran away. Early every morning for 2 weeks, Murad and Aram take the horse out of the took the horse out of the barn of the deserted vineyard where they were hiding it and rode it. And every morning the horse, when it was turn of the narrator to ride alone, the horse threw him and ran away. Nevertheless, I hoped in time to learn to ride the way my cousin Murad. And nevertheless, he never hopeless because he wanted to ride like his cousin Murad. One morning on the way to Fathvizian's deserted vineyard, we ran into the farmer John Byro who was on his way to town. On one morning, when they were on the way of Fathvizian deserted vineyard, they ran into the farmer John Byro who was on his way to town. Let me do the talking, my cousin Murad said. I have a way with farmers. Seeing John Byro, Murad decided to talk to John Byro. Good morning, John Byro, my cousin Murad said to the farmer. His cousin Murad wished the farmer good morning. The farmer studied the horse eagerly. And John Byro, the farmer, the white horse belongs to, he studied the horse eagerly. Good morning, son of my friends, he said. What is the name of your horse? He wished and replied and asked, what was the name of that horse? My heart, my cousin Murad said in Armenian. His cousin Murad replied in Armenian language that my heart. A lovely name, John Byro said, for a lovely horse. I could swear it is the horse that was stolen from me many weeks ago. May I look into his mouth? John Byro liked the name of the horse and said it was a lovely horse, which is similar to his stolen white horse, which was stolen from him many weeks ago. And he asked, may he look into his mouth? Of course, Murad said. Murad replied affirmatively. The farmer looked into the mouth of the horse, and the farmer had looked into the mouth of the horse. Tooth for tooth, he said, I would swear it is my horse if I didn't know your parents. The fame of your family for honesty is well known to me, yet the horse is the twin of my horse. A suspicious man would believe his eyes instead of his heart. Good day, my young friends. And the farmer, John Byro, looked the horse tooth for tooth, and he said that he would swear it was his horse if he did not know his parents, the parents of Murad and Aram. The family belongs for the honesty, the family known for honesty. Yet the horse is the twin of my horse. And he said that it looks that it is the twin of his horse. He was suspicious man would believe his eyes instead of his heart. He believes on his eyes instead of his heart. His heart was going to say that it is his horse, but he did not believe that because Aram and Murad belongs to that family which is famous for their honesty. And after then that he went away. Good day, John Byro, my cousin Murad said. And his cousin Murad said that, good day, John Byro. He wished them. John Byro wished them good day, and Murad replied too. Early the following morning, we took the horse to John Byro's vineyard and put it in the barn. The dogs followed us around without making a sound. And the following morning, in the next morning, they took the horse to John Byro's vineyard and put it in the barn. And the dogs had followed them around without making a sound. The dogs, I whispered to my cousin Murad. I thought they would bark. The narrator ha- saw the dogs and he whispered to his cousin Murad. He thought they would bark. They would at somebody else, he said. I have a way with dogs. And then he said that he had a way with dogs. My cousin Murad put his arms around the horse, pressed his nose into the horse's nose, patted it, and then we went away. And then his cousin Murad put his arms around the horse and pressed his nose into the horse nose, and he petted it, and then they went away. And that afternoon, John Byrow came to their house in his surrey and showed his mother the horse that had been stolen and returned. On that day, John Byrow came to their house. He was happy because his horse returned. I don't know what to think, he said. The horse is stronger than ever, better tempered too. Thank God, I thank God. My uncle Koshro, who was in the parlor, became irritated and shouted, Quiet, man, quiet. Your, your horse has been returned. Pay no attention to it. And that day, John Byrow, who don't know what to think, he said his horse was stronger than ever and better tempered too. He thanked God. His uncle Koshro, who was in the parlor, again he became irritated and shouted that quiet man quiet. His horse has been returned, so not to pay attention to it. And here the story is finished.